Hello, my name is Craig Siegel, and I'm a first semester graduate student at Purdue University's Learning, Design, and Technology program. Today I'm here with Kayla Jutzi, who is a lead instructional designer at Columbia College Chicago's new online initiative. Tell us what some of the courses that you teach.
Yeah, so we have a wide variety. We have American Sign Language, AR, augmented and virtual reality, Swift programming, trend forecasting, UX design, retail innovation, data visualization. So it's a pretty wide variety of things.
Wow. And your audience is mostly continuing education and training for professionals?
So mostly adults who either want to take a class for fun for their own skill development, or they're trying to finish a degree and they want credit. There's a lot of high school students that are also interested in trying to kind of get their feet wet before they go to college. And then we have also partnered with some organizations to offer our coding classes to high school students.
Great. Can you tell me about your background? Like, how did you get where you are?
Yeah, so I worked at George Washington University for 5 years. I started out in student affairs with a master's degree in that subject, and then I worked in admissions and student services and really just felt like I wasn't being challenged. And in my last job at the School of Nursing, we were fully online and we had instructional designers in our department. So that's where I discovered the field, and I decided to go back for a graduate certificate. But while I was at GW, I would say this is the most important thing for my transition was I was able to work on courses while I was going to school. So I think the experience in the schooling helped me out a lot.
Oh, so you had the experience of being in the classroom teaching.
I was working with faculty at the School of Nursing, so I was helping to build courses for the school while I was in school for instructional design.
Got it.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you guys, how you decide how to build a course. Like, you know, you have a new course, virtual reality. How does it start? Like, what is that? What's that process?
The instructional designers in our department aren't as involved in the course selection process as much, but I will say from just hearing conversations, I think a lot of it's market research. What are the new topics that other schools aren't doing very much of? And AR, VR is definitely a topic that a lot of schools out there aren't really covering.
How do you decide how to teach it? Like, you have the LMS, you have an LMS.
So we use Canvas as our LMS. The faculty decide on the outline first, you know, the order of things, and this is the objectives and the final project, and they work through that. And then we work together to kind of refine their content for every module. And I decide if something's really text heavy, could I present it in a different way? So let's say you have 8 topics on something, you know, like here's the 8 tips or whatever. I can put that in an interactive infographic rather than just putting it all on one page as text. So I do a lot of that stuff.
Great. And what methodologies do you use?
I would say mostly the ADDIE model, just because I think it's the simplest and it works well for higher ed. The Dick and Carey model is what I learned in graduate school, but that's definitely more for like instructional systems design, people who are in corporate training.
So there's so many models.
Yeah.
Do you decide, like, we're going to do this model for this course?
No. Yeah, it's pretty much always the same, especially when you're building courses that are set out very similarly. They're all 8 weeks. They all have to be 135 hours.
But you do the analysis and design and the whole yard.
Yeah.
Excellent. So what advice do you have for people in my position just starting out studying this field?
I would say try to start your portfolio now. Even if it's just something simple as a simple website and the projects that you've done in school. If you have any prior teaching experience, definitely highlight that. I would say the strongest instructional designers I've seen are former teachers, because you already have that training and that background of working with students. And that translates really well to instructional design. And then do a lot of volunteering if you can, trying to get more like just experience and things to add to your portfolio. There's a really good organization I know of called Designers for Learning, and they're based out of Chicago, but they help new instructional designers build portfolio items while helping adult literacy programming.
Oh,
so it's a really cool program.
Yeah, and so what soft skills and hard skills do designers need, instructional designers?
Yeah, soft skills for me is definitely like relationship management. Whether you're working for institution or you have faculty, you're always building those relationships. And if you're in training, you're working with subject matter experts, but it's definitely like you want that rapport and that connection with those people, because that's the hardest thing you're going to do, is trying to get them to meet their deadlines on time and give you quality content, doing revisions. So definitely people management.
And project management.
Project management is really important, and having that attention to detail, I think, is also really helpful. In terms of hard skills, obviously knowing how to use an LMS is really helpful, different software.
In those LMSs, you can get free accounts online to play around with the different ones. But how about software like Camtasia?
Captivate, Storyline. I find that some basic HTML coding has been really helpful for me. But that's because my LMS is, HTML5 based, so I'm always like editing things and trying to fix code. And I don't write code from scratch, but if I can understand it, I know how to go in there and adjust things.
So breaking news, I heard that you're leaving us and you have a new job. You're going to start in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
In Tulane University. Congratulations.
Yep, thank you.
So do you know what LMS they use?
Canvas as well.
Canvas as well.
So it'll be an easy transition for me because they use the same LMS. They use the same add-on tool we have for Canvas. It's called City Labs, CIDI, in case anybody wants to check that out. They use the same project management tool. It's just their process is much different.
So how is the job market? I'm sure everyone wants to know.
There are a lot of jobs out there. If you want to go into higher ed, people are always hiring. And having that master's degree, I think, will help you the most, and some experience as well, obviously. In corporate, I know it's a little bit different. Master's degrees aren't always required, and there are a lot more jobs in the corporate world, I think, just from my own searches. But it just depends on what area you want to be in.
That's interesting. And so I had a question also on this list, and which I'm curious. Have you experienced any sexism in the industry?
Not yet. Yeah, I haven't really had any issues with that. I would say that a lot of instructional designers I know are mostly women, which obviously makes that easier. I've definitely experienced some situations outside of my instructional design role where I feel like maybe I'm being too aggressive, like I'm trying to be assertive, and that's viewed negatively because I'm a woman. But I don't know if that's my own perception or if that's reality.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that. And let's see if there's any other questions to cover. Is there anything that you wish you had learned at when you were at George Washington University, that you didn't have? When you can go back and learn that you didn't have a chance to.
Yeah, probably more about video production. This is something I just thought of. We did have a multimedia materials course, which is actually a course at GW that I work on now. I'm a facilitator, and they do a lot of good design principles and how to build a website and things like that, but there's not a lot of practical, here's how to create a course lecture.
Or do an on-TV interview.
Right, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Project management is a skill that I definitely had to pick up on my own. Coding, they briefly touched on those things, but it just wasn't something I got a lot of experience with.
Well, Kayla, thanks for taking the time to talk to me, and good luck on your next adventures, and I'll see you in the discussion forum.